Well, I probably should start with the obvious. I haven't done a podcast for the last 2 weeks, and there's a pretty good reason for that. Well, after the Charlie Kirk incident, I knew I wanted to talk about it, but I couldn't at that moment because what I felt wasn't polished or professional, not that any of this is, but it wasn't exactly radio safe, podcast safe. It was actually real anger. Hey, thanks so much for joining the 1 Minute Later podcast. I'm Craig, and today we're going to be talking about hate versus anger. So let's go ahead and get started. You know, I didn't trust myself to put words out there while I was still sitting in all that anger. So I waited. I prayed. I thought. I wrestled. Rinse, repeat. And, only now, 2 weeks later, do I feel like I can, say something that's honest without just adding more noise to all this. Because here's where I've landed. The noise in our country is not just noise anymore. Words are now changing into weapons. When I saw that assassination attempt, I felt it all at once. I felt sad, shocked, hurt. And they're showing videos of Charlie with his little girl. And, I have 2 little girls myself, and my heart just aches for them. But I think in all of this, I was mostly just angry. I mean, I was really angry. And I'll be honest, my first instinct was not holy. It was human. And I wanted to see that man pay. I wanted to get even. And in that moment, I kind of realized that I was standing on a very thin line. That line between anger and hate. So here's the thing. We throw those words around like they're the same thing, but they're not. The day after this incident, a man I highly respect said something very simple, but it was very profound, and it keeps just lingering in my brain. And he said, there is a difference between anger and hate. Anger is a response. Something wrong happens. Somebody crosses a line and you feel it down in your gut. That's anger. And you know what? Jesus felt that. I mean, remember when he walked into the temple and saw people turning worship into a money-making scheme? The guy flipped tables. He was angry because God's house mattered. David, he felt that too. I mean, read the Psalms and you're going to see it. He didn't hide his frustration. He said things like, "How long, O Lord?" and even prayed some pretty dark stuff about his enemies. He had raw anger, but he poured it out to God instead of just unleashing it on people. And Paul even said it straight. In your anger, do not sin. He wasn't pretending anger doesn't just happen. He was saying when it does, you better be careful with it. James echoed the same thing. Be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. Because, human anger does not produce the righteousness God wants. Now, hate, that's quite different. Hate is not a response. It's a posture. It's when you stop reacting to the wrong and you start fixating on the person. Anger says, that's not right. Hate says, you're not worth loving. Anger can be fuel. It can drive you to protect, to correct, to stand up. But hate doesn't fuel. It burns. Hate takes anger's energy and then it twists it into destruction. Anger could move you towards justice, but hate only moves you towards revenge. And here's where it gets dangerous. Anger can slide into hate so easily, you don't even notice when it happens. 1 minute you're upset about what somebody did, and the next minute you've decided they're the enemy. That's where I have to really check myself with my niece. Her name is Bailey. She's family. She's brilliant. She's passionate. But she and I have very, very different worldviews. She's vocal about it. She's very vocal about it, especially on social media. And every time she posts something online, I can feel the ammo loading in my brain. Facts, rebuttals, arguments, proof, and I just want to fire it all back. But here's the truth. Nothing I type is going to change her mind right now. And nothing she types is going to change my mind. And more than that, she's family. Family doesn't split over Facebook posts. Sometimes the most Christ-like move is actually just to click unfollow for a while. Take 30 days off from seeing what they've written. And it's not because I don't care about her. It's because I care too much. Because protecting the relationship matters more than winning the argument. That's what hate wants. It wants me to turn my niece into the enemy. But love won't let me go there. And maybe that's why I keep coming back to the Heartland. I know it's strange to think, but follow me on this. Because out in the Heartland, right here in the Heartland, when I put my phone down and when I step outside, I see something that keeps me grounded. I see a farmer fixing his tractor before sunrise because the corn still has to get in. I see a mom juggling 2 jobs and still dragging her kids to church on Sunday. I see a high school football game where the biggest argument is over whether the refs need glasses. These aren't people with hashtags or headlines. They're not shouting into microphones. But they're showing me what faithfulness looks like, one ordinary day at a time. And no, that doesn't solve all of our nation's problems. But it keeps the ground from caving in. So here's where I land. Anger is human, even holy sometimes. But hate corrodes and hate destroys. And maybe the real battlefield isn't Washington. Maybe it isn't Twitter either. Maybe the real battlefield is in my own heart. To stay angry when I should, but never let it turn to hate. Because hate never builds anything. It only burns. So, thank you for hearing my rant. If you got any comments about what I just said or questions or anything, I would love to hear from you. You can email me, Craig, C-R-A-I-G, @KJIL.com. And I hope to talk to you next time on 1 Minute Later.